Hi, hello, welcome to our beeswax wrap tutorial. Inside your little kit, you will find some cotton squares. There's 3 of them, a large, medium, and small. You'll also find some jojoba oil, some beeswax pellets, and some pine resin. Also, a little brush. Now I'm just going to use mine, but you're going to have this one in your kit. What you're going to need from home, let me put this aside, you're going to need an old baking sheet. I don't use this for cookies or anything anymore. I just kind of use it for crafts. So I'm sure that you could wash it up and use it again for food. I just don't. So this is my old one that I use just for this kind of thing. I also have just an old can, and I use that to put my brush in when I'm not using it so I don't get wax all over the kitchen. So what we're going to do first is we're going to open up the beeswax. Actually, first we're going to preheat the oven to about 200. So that's preheating right now. In the meantime, I'm going to open up these beeswax pellets and I'm just going to kind of sprinkle them on. Like this. I'm not going to spread them all the way out because I'm going to be mixing some other stuff in. So I want to kind of keep them somewhat contained in the middle. I'm going to pop this in the oven until it melts, and then I will come back and show you the next step. It's about 5 minutes later. It's all melted. As you can see, I'm going to open up the jojoba oil and just put that on there, just like that. You can always reuse this for some kind of a perfume or something, I guess. Now this is the pine resin. See if I can open it.
You should have seen it.
There we go. All right. And I'm just going to kind of sprinkle it just so it'll be easier to mix. I'm not going to dump it all into one big pile. I'm just going to sprinkle it in like this, like so. And I'm going to take my brush and start mixing it in a little bit. And it all mixed in. This gives the little tackiness to it. So it's a flexible wrap with a little bit of stick. The pine resin gives the stick to it. Just going to mix that in. Once it's mixed in, I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit more. Pretty good. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to need more of this, but I think they were all measured out according to the recipe, so I'm going to just go ahead and use it. Sprinkle it on. It's starting to cool off a bit and thickening up, so I'm going to sprinkle it on, but then I'm going to put this right back in the oven just to make sure that it's all mixed in, nice and melted. See how thick it is right now? We want that to be really liquidy. The oven is only at 200 degrees, kind of a warming temperature. So I'm even going to leave my brush right in there. See how all of that's sticking to my brush? I'm going to put the brush in there with it so it'll soften all that product up that's in the brush as well. So I'm going to pop this back in the oven just for a few more minutes. The first time it took about 5 minutes. I'm going to pop this in just for couple more minutes to see if it gets nice and melted and all liquidy. Me right there, but okay, so it's nice and liquidy again. I do have a lot of stuff gummed up on this brush, so I might recommend don't use that whole packet of pine resin because it's really gummy on my brush right now. Maybe just use half of it at a time and see how that goes. You could always pop these back in the oven and remelt stuff if you need to, but I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Put that in my can so it doesn't get on the counter. I'm going to take the big square and I'm just going to place it on the cookie sheet. And I might need to fold a little bit of it up. See, it doesn't fit all the way across, so I just fold a little bit of it up, which is okay. I'm using a pot holder to hold on to my pan while I just brush this on. And it's just going to soak up some of that stuff, all of the mixture. And just brush it along, just so it's even. I might only get one of them out of this. I'm not sure. Didn't quite go as far as. There we go. Keep brushing. Really pressing to push all that beeswax into it. I'm going to flip it over. I see there's a lot of it on the back side. So again, just brush it on there. I might even just fold this part onto the other part just so that it soaks it all in. And I might pop it back in the oven. It's cooling off really quickly, which makes it difficult to spread. So I'm going to pop it back in the oven. And then I'll just put the other one right on top because it looks like there's enough mixture on here to do another one. I'm really pressing that in. But I want to liquefy it again. It's getting thick. See that? That's an extra pine resin stuff. I'm just going to ditch that into my little can right here. Now my brush is nice and clear. But as you can see, it's starting to thicken. So I'm going to pop it back in the oven a little bit. And I'm actually going to put this medium one right on top so that when it liquefies, it'll start soaking it up right away. Here we go, back in the oven for a few. And each time we put it in the oven, we put it in for, I think we've been putting in about 5 minutes a piece. So let's just pause again real quick and I'll take it back out in 5 minutes. Okay, it's back out of the oven. It's nice and liquefied again, and I'm just pressing all of that mixture into the cloth, getting it off the sides, doing it again, and I just keep pressing it in. And it does look like we're going to get to do all 3 of them, because when I press it, I keep picking up some, so it comes off the edge. Keep pressing it in. And see how some of it's still on the brush right there? It's starting to cool off. So that's the second one done. I'm going to put the third one just right on top and pop it in the oven one more time just so that it's nice and liquid and it all be even. You just want it to be nice and even, and then we'll take them out and kind of hang them, drape them over a paper bag. That's what I use at home instead of having to use a clothesline or anything. I just drape it over a paper bag. It takes almost no time at all to dry. Well, not dry, but cool off. As you can see, we need to pop it back in the oven again real quick just to make sure that it's all soaked in. When it starts getting light colored, that's when you know you need to pop it back in to liquefy it all over again. So I'm going to pop it back in just for probably like a minute, maybe 2. And then we're almost done. Okay, we're back. I have now brushed it all even, as even as possible. There's still some spots that are a little heavier than others, but it's not going to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be. And then all I'm going to do, again, I put it right in my can so I don't get it on the counter. I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to just drape it right over top of my little bag just to cool off, just like that. See? I can do it on that, and I have like a little Hannaford bag here. I'm going to put this medium one on one side. And then this one that was folded over, I might just brush one more time to make it even, nice and even. It's going to be a little warm, but as you can see, I can pick it up. No big deal. And I'm going to put it, kind of drape it over this little Hannaford bag, just like that. Just to let it cool off a bit. So I'm going to let that cool off, and depending on how warm it is in your house or cold, in the wintertime, it doesn't take long at all for these to cool off. But I'm going to pause it one more time, and then I'll show you what you can use these for. Okay, so as you can see, here's the small size, and it's a little bit tacky. It's cool. See how it's sort of stiff in a way, but then it's flexible and sticks to itself. So what I'm going to just show you, I'll just show you on my little can here. You can put it over a container and just like foil or any kind of wrap, and you just wrap something up just like that. It's really convenient. So you can store little leftovers in there or whatever else. I've used these for covering watermelon. I've used them for covering the bigger ones for covering homemade bread. I've used them for covering watermelon, cantaloupe, any number of things. I've also used small ones like this. I'll put little, when my cheese gets down to little bits, I'll just put the cheese in there, wrap it up, put it in the fridge. Or maybe even I've put crackers in there, wrapped it up a little bit, but it's really convenient. So here's this one. Looks like the medium one. That's where it was hanging over the bag, but that one's done now too. And I did end up using all of the pine resin, and it worked out. Here's the large one. One kind of neat thing that you can do with the large one, I'll just show you real quickly. You can, put a sandwich in there and wrap it up. Just like that. You can wrap up a little sandwich. I don't have a sandwich in there, but you can see what I'm talking about. And there you have it, little beeswax wraps, large, medium, and small.